crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah. Okay, let's roll. Oh yeah.
Movie on Tobes. Hey.
And it's
scene one, meat.
meat. Scene one. Close up on meat.
Act one, scene one, meat, laughing. Exit.
Pretty much sums up Tobes.
Sums up Sundays.
We can start at that. I'm sure we'll need more when everybody else starts banging on the drums and chunking on. Okay. Awesome. I'm going to mute that channel.
Dave Toby interview. Go.
What do you want to know?
Okay, here's what I want to know. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're running the spill.
I'm making all this.
Make it all up.
I'm making it up on the spot. It's starting to rain too. But we're Canadian.
Here's a question I want to ask you.
Yeah.
How many bands hit the spill every year? Is it over 500?
Yeah, probably. If you think about it this way, 6 nights a week, twice on Saturdays, approximately. Now when you say bands, we're talking performers or something. twice on Saturday, approximately 3 every night. But if you're saying different bands, because a lot of people will come back a couple of times in a year or play a couple of times in a month. So yeah, probably, you know, about 500.
And how many of them stay upstairs?
All the ones from out of town who you know, feel the need to hang out and party and get the full Peterborough experience. So I don't know. Say you have one local every night. Well, let's do some math here. 52 weeks in the year.
Yep.
Minus 1 day per week. So, or I mean, so it's 365 minus 52. So 300 times 3. Well, we're looking at 900 people. Yeah, so it's going to be more than 500. But there's also nights where we're like, you know, sitting around playing cards, and you know, there's also nights where you have poetry, where actually it's kind of cool because then you have like, you know, 10 to 20 poets on stage, so we can get the averages up that way. Yeah, and we have that little space upstairs, and they all hang out up there every night, and we got the washing and the drying in the back to clean all the sheets and towels, so that's cranking through.
Why is it important for you to offer that, the gesture of hospitality that you do, like that you're talking about?
Just that, it's a gesture of hospitality. You know, I love the people, I love my town, and the more stuff that we can do to make people enjoy their stay and or, you know, have a better view and feeling of Peterborough, the better it is for everybody. And it's, even though it takes everything, it's easy. It's an easy gesture. You know, instead of renting the space out, we just keep it as a space for people to stay in.
Is it accurate that, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Is it accurate that you learned how important it was to help, to give bands and artists the opportunity to, you know, have laundry, have clean beds to sleep in close to the venue?
The artists don't get laundry.
Oh, the artists don't get laundry.
No, they can't.
But did you learn that?
Could you imagine if you had artists hanging around messing with your machines?
Oh, that'd be awful.
They would turn them into bass amps in like an instant.
It's true. What a bad.
Let's turn this into an instrument.
You could rig them up so the musicians get electrocuted.
Yeah,
that'd be good. There's nothing more fun than watching a musician get electrocuted.
Oh, it's comedy. But it, you know, we talk about gesture of hospitality.
That's right.
Yeah.
Here, we gave you a bed to sleep in.
Here you go. But you got to be careful.
Did you learn about this stuff from Martin Sexton, Moxie Fruvis?
No. What I learned from those guys was stay in a hotel and keep yourself really, you know, pay a little bit of money, and you know, because you have the budget for it. But yeah, you know, I have been out there on the road, and I probably learned it from hanging out with friends and going to places, you know, going and visiting people, and just to know that you have a place that you can hang out is a good thing.
Why do young musicians destroy gear?
Because they're going for it pretty hard. Sometimes young musicians. Well, wait, what do you mean destroy gear? Like, because gear, everything wears out. If you know, and stuff will wear out if you don't maintain it. So if you don't know how to maintain or respect something, it's gonna fall apart on you. But everything falls apart eventually.
How come older musicians are better at not destroying gear?
Wisdom. They, you know, they've developed wisdom over the years, and they, you know, maybe they haven't had stuff given to them by their mom and dad, or, you know, maybe they don't have quite the sense of entitlement, and they know, okay, these are my tools, I gotta take care of them.
How is the...
Is that true though, do you think? Younger musicians destroy gear, older musicians don't?
Yeah, that's true, for sure. Unless you're dealing with wasted older musicians. But, but I think generally that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, what about current state of indie indie Canadian music? Has anything really changed? Is anything really new in how these bands are making, how the state of their existence? Is it easy for them these days to, just to expect to be able to get from one town to the next and make enough money for gas and all that, and do it for the love of it kind of thing they maybe used to be? Or what are your thoughts?
What I've seen, there's a real movement in cooperative groups where you'll take a few different bands and who have a like mind or just respect each other, and they say, okay, we're going to start a group, a cooperative group. We're going to start, like, we're out here on the East Coast, so there's the the Berserker Lion, which is made up of 3 or 4 different groups of people who love and respect each other, and or the Fast Forward Music Group, or the Forward Music Group, again made up of a bunch of incredible people who know that together you're stronger than apart. And you can buy ad space in Exclaim magazine. You can buy 2 vans instead of 7, 5 to 7 vans, and share those vans and share the expenses rather than have the full expense. You can
share rehearsal spaces.
You can exactly, you can rent one rehearsal space, and as long as you're as long as everybody respects each other, that sort of thing can work, and you can go further. So that's been, I know there's always been groups of people trying to do stuff like that, but there seems to be some real success with things like that. And you can have like a new person coming up, and if they're associated with Forward Music Group, or they're associated with Pushpin Collective, or they're associated with one of these established groups, then doors will open easier. And it's hard to open doors a lot of times, especially if people are being protective of their time or their gear or their establishment. So that's one big change.
What about the argument that okay, well, there's just as much appetite for live music as there used to be, but the reason for that, or one of the reasons, is because actually, the population of our country is growing. In North America, our populations are growing, so proportionately speaking, we're dealing with just the same averages, of live music enthusiasts, and at the same time, while you have technology or whatever other online entertainment keeping people from wanting to go out and supporting a band. Give me your thoughts a little bit on that argument, and actually, and a second point, through the growth of metal, can you see links between indieism and the and metal? What would you say? Metal is an indie music as well.
Metal is and always will be an indie music. Like one of the biggest bands in the land, Metallica. Metal band, but still, even though the biggest band, you can have a band that's the biggest band in the world be a metal band, it's still an indie music, it's still an indie attitude, because people as a whole don't like metal. It takes a certain amount of dedication and mindset to truly enjoy it and appreciate it. Whereas there are a lot of people who love metal and get off on it, but it ain't Justin Bieber, it ain't it ain't a Stormy Strum sing about common things. But so sorry, your the previous question idea. Can you come back to that?
Yeah, that one was about if it's technology that's really driving the audience participation, or audience wanting to, people wanting to go out and see live music, or what the conflict is there.
Well, I think people are in love with the idea of going out and seeing live music. People love to know that it exists. They love to know, people are coming from another place and they're coming to near my home, and my cousin who has, worked every day of his life to develop this amazing skill and talent and art is gonna, I'm just so glad that she's able to get out and play her music for some people. But I think it's really hard for people just to get off their butts and get out of their houses and go out and see stuff. and challenge themselves and see something new. There is always a sense of you had to seek it out. You had to get out of your house and just say, okay, I want to have this experience. I don't know what exactly it might be, but I'm willing to accept, either if it's a waste of my time, I'm willing to invest that, or it could change my life. What a gamble. I think people are maybe a little bit afraid of that. People would rather have a sure thing, or people are not so willing to gamble an evening, when they could be at home watching house reruns, or working on their taxes, or drinking in a nightclub where it's canned music. So, but the the idea of an online world is an incredible tool. It does make it so that people, even though people are afraid of the gamble, they can check a couple of different things very easily, and to know whether something may pique their interest a little bit, or whether to know, okay, I'm absolutely going to avoid that. But I guess the long and short of it is, people need to get out of their houses, and they need to experience things firsthand. And there's always going to be a return to a return to real tangible things, a return to old-time cooking. There's always going to be a return to, I just want to learn how to crochet. I want to learn how to mend my pants. People always will have that desire, and then a new technology will come along, and you can say, oh, it's easier to do it this way, it's easier to do it that way, I've got this to take care of, this is that, everything will get faster, more efficient. But then there will be a moment when people say, I just want music that's an acoustic guitar and somebody singing about their feelings.
Why is that?
Why is that? I think because humans, you want to keep, you don't want to let yourself get too far away, buried in technology. You don't want to surround yourself with too much, of a metal enclosure, surrounded by screens. That's a bit of a horror story, like sitting in your little booth with your little screen for your whole life. Press a button for nutrition, press a button for flavor, press a button for experience, look up, oh my God, I'm existing within my mind, my body is useless. People, I think, even though that would be a paradise to some folks, I think there is always a fear that is, a real potential.
Talk to me about a typical...
And it's empowering to be able to physically take your hands and your feet and go and do something.
Yeah.
Sorry, talk to me
about a typical young artist's strategy for choosing what to charge at the door, like, and what they feel like maybe they're entitled to, or what they deserve based on how much they've traveled to play at a venue. Like what makes an artist go, okay, well, this is going to be a pay what you can show. This one's going to be $5, this one's going to be 10, etc.
Well, something that would be nice to work towards is if just everybody across the board was $10. It's like, just take $10. Like, it's minimum wage is $10.25 an hour. It's an hour. It's literally an hour's worth of your general scope. Actually, it should be $20, but nobody can afford that. There's so many elements to putting a value on art. Just like if you see a painting and you see that it's worth $5,000, and you're thinking, why the heck is that worth $5,000? Because the artist said so.
Right.
Sometimes you can, you can establish with, okay, it took me, this piece of art took me 25 hours to do, and I'm going to pay myself $15 to $20 an hour. You can mathematically figure it out that way. But yeah, the trick with establishing what to charge at, what to charge people to come and experience what you're doing, is it's a real trick, because people can go, you can turn people away, or turn them, make them not want to take, like I said before about the gamble, the gamble of getting out of your butt, if that price is too high, whereas if it's too low, you devalue the lifetime of work that an artist has put into, building this thing, or maybe, the expenses it costs to, drive across the country, or drive across the province at at $70 for a tank of gas. So
well, let me ask you this: if the technology is neutral, say technology is neutral, and neutral. Well, it's not technology that like, we make our decisions. If we have enough common sense, then we know what is fair. We know that an artist should be paid. In principle, we know that. Technology doesn't know that. Technology is just sitting there as a bunch of ones and zeros.
Technology are ones and zeros, and
right.
they're a tool to be used by us.
But if
technology doesn't do anything until we tell it what to do.
But as a younger mentality, let's say, how are they going to have any sense for what value is? Maybe if they're not really working yet, or if they're only getting $10 an hour for a job, where is that sense of value actually going to come from if it hasn't hit them by now, by being 18, 19, 20 years old, by the time they're adults, and the technology is making things so easy for them? Where are they going to get the sense to to put in $5 or $10 for something, unless they're actually shown why it's important to do that?
Where are they going to get that? Exactly, from your parents.
They're not going to listen to their parents, though.
Well, I think the parents are a core. You're going to be brought up a certain way, and the same way you learn about anything, the people around you. A kid's not going to learn how to tip for a sandwich that they buy at a sandwich shop, unless somebody says, listen, you really should lay down 20% tip, because this or what, or a good way for them to learn that is to get out and do it themselves. Like I think of one young artist who used to play the venue that I own there, the Spill, and they would try and crash through the door, not crash through it, but they would try and not pay. And this is their dear friends are playing, their dear, so they should know, okay, I'm paying this, and it's going to make sure that my friend who is hosting this party can continue to do this. They didn't see that. They didn't know that. They were 16, 17, 18 years old. And now it's interesting, because I know them they are trying to make a living as a musician themselves. And I see them, and it's, I try and pinpoint that point where, at what point did they realize, or did they ever even realize how selfish and wrong they were in their earlier years? But it's youth, they have to learn. You can't beat somebody for not knowing something. It's like you have to show them. You have to say, okay, this is how it works. This is how the system is going to continue to run, through support. And I don't know if people see it, if people give themselves a little bit of history lesson and looking at things around their life, how something that maybe they didn't support collapses and goes away. Then maybe after a while, a generation will realize how important these things are.
How about
the thing is, I ain't in tune with the youth. I see them. They're around me. I love them. But I don't know what they're thinking. As much as I say, well, the youth are thinking this, I'm making all that stuff up.
What about an older model of how a touring band, without an agent, without any kind of music biz infrastructure behind them, just them doing it on their own, no manager, no agent, no publicist. If they're having a hard time selling CDs and T-shirts, and they're having a hard time at the door, and they're reduced to passing the jug. What do you think? How can they survive? How can they not totally disintegrate as a band?
Well,
what do you think? Do they have to think like entrepreneurs and come up with creative solutions, or what?
Well, you have to think, why am I doing this? When you're at an age where you should have a career, and if your career is music and art, then hopefully you've figured out a way to make it happen, that people are buying your art, or people are supporting you that way. But why are you doing it? Is it a vacation? Are you doing it because it's an opportunity to make art and come together with a bunch of people? Or are you doing it so that you can take a break from your carpentry?